What's going on, everybody? C4 here, and today we're continuing with our draft rankings for the 2018 NFL Draft. Today, it's tight ends 2.0. We're looking at the top 5 tight ends. I could do 10, which has been the number I've been hitting on my last couple for wide receiver, running back, and quarterback. But it's tough, man. There's rarely ever 10 tight ends that I think are going to be able to make a real big impact early. I mean, there's certainly some prospects, some honorable mentions. I got 3 that I will talk about. But in reality, it is tough to find more than 5 tight ends that should go within like the first 4 rounds. And in reality, these lists are for guys that you should be getting excited about if your team selects them. That's kind of why I'm doing it. So I have 5 tight ends that I believe can all make impacts when they get the ball as a rookie. We have 3 honorable mentions before we jump into it, as well as there is a little list that should be popping up of my original top 5 ratings. Now, after the Senior Bowl, which already happened, and the Combine, I'm probably going to release one final rankings, and they will be the rankings that I kind of stick my neck out on, and those will be my takes, if you will, to look back upon at some point in a later date. So those are my top 5. We had Jaylen Samuels, who's a tight end fullback hybrid from North Carolina State, Troy Fumagalli at 4, Adam Breneman at 3, Mike Gesicki at 2, and Mark Andrews at 1. That was Rankings 1.0. Rankings 2.0, I 3 honorable mentions. At number 3, we have Ian Thomas from Indiana. He's a guy that definitely could rise up on my draft boards, but I want to see how well he tests at the scouting combine. But his tape at Indiana was pretty promising. Honorable mention number 2 is said Jaylen Samuels. He's a guy that not a lot of people know exactly how he's going to be used in the NFL, but he is a playmaker. He's a guy that will make a roster right away, might have to contribute on special teams, but as far as on the offensive side of the ball, you find a way. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like Nick O'Leary when he was coming out of Florida State, but I think Jaylen Samuels is a little bit better of an athlete, another guy to watch at the combine. And honorable mention number 1 is Troy Fumagalli from Wisconsin, 6'6", 250 tight end. If I could make 6, he would have made the list. But ultimately, he's another guy that I want to see how well he tests at the combine, because his tape last year as I don't know if he's actually a straight up senior, but let's just go on the assumption he is a senior. I should probably verify that. But his tape as a junior was a lot better than his tape as a senior. I don't know if necessarily that was the quarterback or what, but he's definitely a guy that is a draftable tight end. So, officially jumping into my top 5. At number 5, I'm going with Adam Breneman from UMass. 6'5", 255 pounds. Originally had him at number 3 in my rankings. Slipped down to 5 because of the negative I will get into. On the season, he had 64 receptions for 760 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's a very, very productive receiver. When you look at his positives, it is his production. He has 2 really big years at UMass where he's putting up wide receiver-like numbers. And because of that, that's not just because of his scheme. He has really, really good hands, really, really solid route running. But the negatives: 1, blocking. He is a pure receiving tight end. 2, level of competition. While at UMass, he's not going up against a bunch of killers. And the biggest one, number 3, is his medical. He's going to have to pass the medical with flying colors, I think, to really maintain this number 5 spot. I'm going to gamble on him. I'm going to bet that he will. But he already was one of the most hyped tight ends coming out of high school. Went to Penn State, had to retire because of, I believe, a knee injury. And then he decided to do some politics and stuff like that. And then went to UMass and put up just freakingly tight end, wide receiver like numbers. So a lot of his draft stock is dependent on his medical. But in terms of a receiving prospect, which it seems like nowadays maybe teams are going to kind of fall in the mold of Philadelphia, where we have receiving tight ends, clear receiving tight ends, and then you have a guy like Brent South that can come in and run block. So these guys here, you're not going to get much in terms of blocking, but they just want that other dimension to their offense. I think a guy like Adam Breneman, if you're in need of a receiving tight end in the middle rounds of the draft, he can very much be your guy. Put on a tight end number 4. It is Hayden Hurst from South Carolina, 6'5", 250 pounds. On the season, he had 44 receptions for 560 yards and 3 touchdowns. I had him mocked to my Philadelphia Eagles in my last Eagles mock draft. I think he is a great, great receiver. The positives: he is a very, very good athlete. He has great vision with the ball in his hands. He's able to make guys miss an open field, and he has great hands. He is definitely not the best spectacular catch if we're trying to relate it back to Madden terms, but this guy can make some occasional wow catches. I think he has like a viral video of a catch he made in training camp or practice or whatever for South Carolina. The negative for Hayden Hurst is his route running is inconsistent. He definitely can make his fair share of safeties and linebackers miss, but it definitely seems like he can get into funks at times, and it just seems like he struggles to get separation, which is kind of odd because he is such a talented athlete. And the other one is his age. He is going to be 25 when the NFL season starts, and we all know how much teams will rightfully put added points, I guess, if you're trying to make a scale in a draft stock. If you're, there's plenty of guys. Some guys are 19, 20, like Juju Smith-Schuster, like Tremaine Edmonds, the linebacker from Virginia Tech that we'll talk about when we break down the linebackers. That these guys that are that young and talented, they will get, constantly picked over the guys that are 24, 25, that are pretty much finished products as far as athletes can go. So that is definitely going to be a knock against Hayden Hurst. But again, a guy that if you're looking for a receiving tight end, and like I said, when I was talking about him for the Eagles, it's going to be tough for the Eagles to re-sign Trey Burton, and Trey Burton's not really used to block a whole lot. He is much more a receiving guy. When we want to go with two receiving tight ends with him and Zach Ertz, and a guy like Hayden Hurst definitely could step into that Trey Burton-like role as a rookie, and then down the road, even though he is 25, emerge as a legit starting tight end. Going to tight end number 3, back-to-back guys that didn't make number 1. This is actually credit to you guys for leaving comments and saying for me to check out certain guys, and that is Dallas Goedert from South Dakota State. 6'5", 255 pounds. On the season, he had 72 catches for 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns. He probably has the best tight end tape I've ever seen since I've been scouting. Maybe Hunter Henry. I think Hunter Henry probably was the last big tight end prospect that I thought was going to be an absolute stud. And it was different reasons. Hunter Henry was so good because he was a great receiver and a great blocker. He was incredibly well-rounded. When you look at Dallas Goedert, this guy here is pretty much a wide receiver. Like, his highlight, that's just positive. I put highlight catches. I have notes when I'm reading off here. Highlight catches. This guy is a human highlight reel. He just makes insane catches. You're going to see some videos right now in the background as I'm talking, or you already just did. And he just makes wow catches, and that is a credit to having insane hands. Now, good athlete as well. He's definitely one of these guys, I'm going to say good athlete, really looks like a good athlete on tape, but then the highlight catches, the great hands, the good route running, the great athlete, all kind of falls into the negatives. Is that the level of competition at South Dakota State? I mean, what happened when they said the competition for Carson Wentz, and now look what happened there. So I'm kind of maybe biased, or I've experienced by having a player that has that level of competition tag, and that's just blown out the window. So I'm giving him a benefit of the doubt, which is why I have him here at 3. But the combine is going to be a big-time test, because that is where, if he tests really, really well, I might be inclined to make him number 2 on my list. I think my number 1 tight end's pretty much, he's the guy I'm kind of, hanging on to as my guy at this position. But Goedert, if he can test well at the combine, it's really just going to be if teams are willing to look past the level of competition and see this guy, yes, he is a stud. I mean, if Adam Shaheen, who could get drafted, what was he, his third round pick for the Bears last year, if he can go there, Dallas Goedert definitely could go in the second round. But I'm very interested to see his combine. Going to tight end number 2, it is going to be Mike Gesicki from Penn State, 6'6", 252 pounds. On the season, he had 57 catches for 560 yards and 9 TDs. He was, more often than not, Trace McSorley's number 1 target if Deshaun Hamilton was covered and they weren't giving the ball to Saquon Barkley. I actually feel like Gesicki was probably number 1 over Deshaun Hamilton. When you look at Mike Gesicki, he has great hands, great round running, and his negative is run blocking. That is pretty much what you're going to get for a lot of good tight end prospects. You kind of saw that with like maybe David Njoku last year, where it's just like, okay, good athlete, good hands, but where is he in terms of staying on the field for all downs? And it can be masked a little bit. Look at Zach, again, I don't want to keep bringing it back to Philadelphia Eagles, but look at Zach Ertz. He couldn't run block for shit, and now he still can't really run block, but he's still one of the better tight ends. So, not everyone is going to be a Rob Gronkowski that comes out as, oh my god, this guy is a complete tight end. But a guy like Mike Gesicki, he is what he is. If you need a guy that can move the chains, if you need a guy that, for a young quarterback or a medium-aged quarterback that still has yet to find his safety net tight end, I think a guy like Mike Gesicki is definitely that kind of player, and I think he should probably go late second, mid-third, somewhere between there. Really did like his tape. He constantly just found a way of getting wide open. I don't know how well he's going to test at the combine. A lot of these tight end grades, I'm still like, are they great athletes? Like, I want to see the measurables, but going off of the tape, Mike Gesicki for me is just a little bit ahead of Dallas Goedert, as is these rankings 2.0. Going to tight end number 1, and I think unless he has a really, really bad combine, he's going to be my number 1 tight end throughout, and that is Mark Andrews from Oklahoma, 6'5", 250 pounds. On the season, he had 62 catches, 960 yards, and 8 touchdowns. When you look at the pros, he has excellent hands. I think he only had 1 drop all season, 1 or 2 drops all season. that's pretty ridiculous because of all the targets that he got from Baker Mayfield. Development is a key word here for Mark Andrews, because that's the negative, is that is he a finished product? When I look at him, I see a guy that, like, he's really good. He was dominant at the college level, should have no problem at all finding a place to play in the NFL in terms of finding a depth chart spot at the one position, at the tight end spot. But how much is his ceiling? How much is he going to take his game to the next level? I'm not so sure that he's not a finished product right now, which is still pretty damn good. I think if there was a tight end that had to go in the first round this year, it will be Mark Andrews, combine pending, and credit to him because he's the most complete tight end. Not a Gronk, or not really. I don't know if I could put him in that Hunter Henry kind of level yet, but I definitely think that, if you told me right now, OJ Howard or Mark Andrews, who would you want? I'd probably be leaning towards Mark Andrews, as far as when OJ Howard's coming out of Alabama and Mark Andrews coming out of Oklahoma. So those are my top 5 tight ends. Let me know if you agree or disagree in the comment section below. If I skipped over any tight ends that you want me to take a peek at, let me know as well. If this is your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. Until next time, guys, it's C4 saying peace out.